On January 1st, 2012, adequate notice of this meeting pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act has been furnished by inclusion thereof in the annual schedule of meetings for 2012, which has been posted on the bulletin board at Borough Hall, filed with Borough Clerk, attached to the Hour Calendar, record of the community news and the county seat newspapers, and distributed to all persons if any requesting copies of the same pursuant to said act. In case of emergency or fire alarm, you must evacuate the building by using any of the exit doors in the room. They're immediately to my right, and the double doors at the rear of the room. Occupants must exit the building by using the staircase and not the elevator. This meeting is being recorded by both video and audio and may be rebroadcast.
Everybody, please rise for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor Padavano.
Here.
Council members Savage.
Here.
Fleischman.
Here.
Oriema.
Here.
Fabre.
Here.
Ballerini.
Here.
Neglio.
Here.
Borough Attorney Ronald Zario.
Here.
Borough Clerk Jean Pellegger is here. Borough Administrator Roberta Stern.
Here.
Have a proclamation tonight. Does anybody make a motion to suspend the regular order of business?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We do have a proclamation, which I will read into the record, acknowledging Lieutenant Robert Liebman's service to the borough. As many of you know, he retired, effective at the end of last month. He's in full retirement mode. From what I understand, it is actually in Florida as we speak. But he did dedicate a significant portion of his life and career to the borough of Maywood, and I think it's altogether fitting that we acknowledge him with the proclamation, which reads, whereas Lieutenant Robert Liebman announced his retirement from the Borough of Maywood Police Department effective July 31, 2012, and whereas Robert Liebman started his career with Maywood Police Department over 27 years ago, and whereas police officer Robert Liebman was assigned to the Detective Bureau from March 15, 1993 through November 15, 1999, then promoted to Sergeant in Patrol on November 15, 1999, and Lieutenant in Patrol on December 15, 2005, and assigned in charge of various departments throughout the years, including crime prevention, communication, alarms, and records. And whereas Lieutenant Robert Liebman was also involved in many community projects, including starting the first National Night Out, Maywood Special Police Department, Maywood Explorer Post, and the Adopt a Cop program at Memorial School. And whereas Robert Liebman has offered best wishes for a long and happy retirement, and therefore be it resolved that I, Greg A. Padavano, Mayor of the Borough of Maywood, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, express sincere thanks to Robert Liebman for his dedication and service to and for the Borough of Maywood. We thank him and wish him well in his retirement.
Move to call into regular order of business.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Our office issued an engineer's report, which was prepared August 9th for tonight's meeting. The item report is 3 pages in length. The first item within the report relates to the DEP Environmental Infrastructure Trust Program. Per last month's meeting, the mayor and council had voted accordingly with respect to the change order reduction in the amount of $27,822.07 for the revised project. As it relates, we've contacted the contractor, Montana Construction Corporation, to inform them of the revised scope and authorization per the mayor and council. Based on that, their schedule is next Monday they would begin with the construction of the sanitary sewer replacement on Magnolia Avenue, and that would follow the following week on August 27th, that following Monday, to restore both Magnolia and also Mendez and Lincoln at that point in time. The third phase of the project, which relates to the Spring Valley pump station, again, I know the borough attorney and the appraiser are moving forward with the attempt to acquire those easements in those locations. Subsequently, that phase of the project would be bid, and it would be moving forward accordingly. On the second page of the report relates to the solar project. The project is substantially complete. Punch list items are being addressed accordingly, which include the kiosk at the front center. That should be finalized, it appears, within the next couple of weeks so that it would be brought online for the borough's use. The Spring Valley Road project, bids were received Wednesday, July 25th. They were very favorable, I think, budgetarily wise. We had issued a recommendation letter to the mayor and council for consideration at tonight or a future meeting. On the third page, the Borough Hall monitoring points. We had originally performed some monitoring in early June as it relates to potential settlement across the facility. Again, there were 2 points that were located outside of the police entrance that exhibited some settlement within the next coming weeks, which would be the 3-month time frame. In early September, we'll be conducting another session to monitor the situation to see if further settlement is occurring. Just to reiterate, we would recommend, though, with the settlement that had occurred within the building, that the prior structural engineer take a look at that as it relates to any compromise with respect to the building. The fifth item relates to the borough sanitary sewer bills for the Lodi properties. We had received the water reports from the borough to our office. From United Water, we had issued a bill statement letter as it relates to the Lodi properties. The final item relates to a series of engineering estimates that we prepared for the Borough Swim Club at the direction of Ms. Stern for the use in preparing some future grant applications, open space. One related to the restroom facilities at the swim club, which included the ADA doors and the concrete slabs. That estimate ended up being approximately $40,530. We then prepared a second estimate for the concession stand area, which included retrofitting the patio with additional decorative concrete, a knee wall to flatten that sloped area out, and then provide a canopy for shade at the concession stand, and that estimate was approximately $24,000. That conclude our report. I'd be glad to answer any questions that you have.
If I may, the two estimates that we got are just to be in preparation for grants that we're applying for. The Community Development Grant for 2013, which is due in October. I know it's early, but I wanted to be a little bit ahead of the game, so at least we have that. The handicap bathroom at the swim pool, there's been some settling also, and there's a small gap which makes it inaccessible, and the doorway is not very safe for handicap accessibility and has to be kept open. So that would be for our community development grant because it's ADA, and that's the only thing that basically would qualify for at this point. The second one would be under open space or parks, because I would like to see that area outside the concession stand paved, and so it's not a grassy area where the people eat, and again, the possibility of creating some shade with an awning. So at least we have the estimates, and when the time comes, the appropriate grants will be applied for.
Under any of these grants, in light of the piece of vandalism we had down there, is there any possibility of looking into some cameras for that?
Well, unfortunately, cameras would not be something that we could cover under a grant, but we are talking about the cameras, and when the chief comes back to us with some information about the cameras that we're intending to put on Pleasant Avenue, we'll try and do the same thing at the swim pool.
Yeah, I think we could probably...
But that's not related...
Some of the DEA money.
Exactly. Yeah, because it certainly doesn't fall into the category that the grants, you know...
Figuring on having cameras that are viewed here at the police desk, or just cameras that would record what goes on down there and monitor that?
We really haven't come to a conclusion about that. It's just the idea that it would be good to have surveillance there, just to, you know, protect the property, particularly, you know, when nobody's around, even later in the year, they can still cause, you know, trouble even though it's not swim pool season.
On the swim club project,
Sure.
those are project costs, or are they construction costs?
Those are construction costs.
Anybody else have any questions?
In other words, it doesn't include the management fees, design fees,
It does not, because typically the grant wouldn't cover that, so.
And they're so simple, we'll do it ourselves without the engineer, with just concrete slabs and some doors.
Potentially, correct.
I think we could manage that one.
And prepare for 2 years later when we...
No. It's not like certain other things that I won't mention.
All right, anybody else have anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Ordinance 812, bond ordinance to authorize the resurfacing of Spring Valley Road from West Pleasant Avenue to the vicinity of Cumming Avenue and Telfer Avenue in Tyre Lane, in by and for the Borough of Maywood in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, and to appropriate the sum of $250,000 to pay the cost thereof, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds.
Portion of the meeting for public comments relative to this ordinance. Anybody? Okay. Anybody wish to make a motion?
Move the adoption.
Roll call.
Savage?
Yes.
Fleischman?
Yes.
Oriana?
Yes.
Severide?
Yes.
Ballerini?
Yes.
Miglio?
Yes.
Be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Maywood that ordinance 812 be passed upon second and final reading, and that the Borough Clerk is hereby authorized and directed to exercise the same according to law, that the 20-day period of limitation within which a suit action will proceed questioning the validity of such ordinance can be commenced as provided by in local bond law has begun to run from the date of first publication of the statement. A copy of the ordinance has been posted on the bulletin board, upon which public notices are customarily posted on the Borough Hall, in the Borough Hall of the Borough, and a copy is available up to and including the time of such meeting to the members of the general public of the Borough who shall request such copies at the office of Borough Clerk in the Borough, in said Borough of Maywood, New Jersey. Ordinance 1012, an ordinance amending the Borough of Maywood Municipal Code as to revise Chapter 312, Section 7B.
Okay, anybody from the public have any questions, comments on this? Okay, get a motion.
Move the adoption.
Second.
Roll call.
Savage?
Yes.
Fleischman?
Yes.
Oriana?
Yes.
Severide?
Yes.
Ballerini?
Yes.
Miglio?
Yes.
Be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Maywood that ordinance 1012 be and is passed upon second and final reading, and that the Borough Clerk is hereby authorized and directed to advertise the same according to law.
Okay, correspondence. For the borough.
Okay. I would first like to congratulate Mayor Padavano and his wife Claire on the birth of their baby's wife. In your mailboxes, there was correspondence from residents this week from Mr. Agarwal regarding the building department, and Anne Marie and Frank regarding Coaching Park. You also have received information on the League of Municipalities conference that will be in November. If that is something anybody would be attending, I would, guess, to be appropriate, take the names and so forth, if that's what council decides. And that's all I have.
Mayor, I don't have too much except for those of you who are not aware that there was, was some vandalism at the pool, and it's unfortunate. I understand that past history that similar things have happened. I also understand past history that perhaps the PBA or another organization would offer a reward which might lead to information about the youth that might be involved in this. So, I'll be pursuing that to see if anybody would be willing to, present that such reward and then take action on that. We are having trouble, as Greg, well, not trouble, as he pointed out with the solar project, the only open item is the kiosk, and we have not been able to get that to work. The rest of us can all log in. You can log in to get information about what's going on the roof and see what each of the 126 converters are doing at any one time. I will give you the address if you'd like to, but in the meantime, so far, we have saved 99 trees according to yesterday's information that I took off the computer. So we are in the process of having, the the next step, having somebody else take a look at this. It's the responsibility of the kiosk company, but ultimately we have a small retainage with the contractor, and between Mr. Dario and myself and the subcontractor, in this case, Zimmerman Associates, who is the engineer hired by Neglia to be the sub on this because of their solar experience. But we seem to be okay. Everything's working. There are no issues. We just can't get the kiosk to do what it's supposed to do at this point. That's it, Mr. Mayor.
What kind of damage was done?
19 umbrellas were, I thought the umbrellas were ruined, but as it happens, they were not the umbrellas. It's the aluminum poles that go into the stands. DPW had to dig out 2 of the concrete footings and replace those because those were so badly broken that we couldn't do anything to resurrect the pipes. It appears that they had moved the bike rack into the middle of the parking lot, but no damage was done. It was just a matter of moving it. The DPW had constructed a new entranceway, which was helping the flow of traffic with an entrance and exit. They tried to break that apart. They did minimal damage, but that was only a temporary, something that was constructed temporarily. We're hoping to redo that with a permanent structure through this next season when the pool's closed. And then it appears that they also ripped a couple of the screens that were at the concession stand. We're not able to access anything. As you know, I did have all the locks changed at the pool prior to the season opening because there were too many people who had keys, and that's been very limited, so luckily there was no damage to anything in the interior at this point. So I would guess next year we'd have to replace some of the umbrellas. This year I think we bought 17, but we'll need fewer new ones next season from what I can gather.
Any questions for the Borough Administrator? Okay, Borough Attorney.
Mr. Mayor, I have a report to give in the closed session this evening.
Anything else?
No.
All right, committee reports. Councilman Savage.
I have nothing of a policy nature to discuss this evening.
Mr. Fleischer.
Yes, thanks, Mr. Mayor. A few minor housekeeping issues. On Maywood Avenue, I see we have the new crossing signals installed between Fairmount and Coolidge. I don't know if they're new, but the lights look like they're updated and the signal's updated. The one on the southbound side, if you're traveling down Maywood Avenue southbound, the signal that's there is installed between a couple of trees, and it's really obstructed. I don't think motorists are going to see it flashing. It's between Coolidge and West Fairmount. It might be better suited in front of house number 859. There's no trees there. It's a little more wide open. The trees are new and young. I don't think you want to cut back the trees and damage them in any way to see the lights flashing. So it's something that we should take a look at, either with the chief or...
Well, probably the county, so I'll take a look at them tomorrow and then I'll be in touch with them.
Just in an awkward spot, and it's such a busy crossing in the morning, and students for Hackensack High School line up there for the school bus. It's a real busy corner, so whatever we can do to make it more visible, I think would be helpful. Also, I'd just like to congratulate the Dolphin swim team, the coaches, the swimmers, the parents, and everybody that organized that this year. 4th year in a row they're undefeated, which is a tremendous accomplishment, a job well done by everybody there. The team is one of the biggest in the county, and they're growing every year. They may actually have to split off into 2 teams next year. They have so many swimmers. Also, while we're on the subject of trees, I just want to thank George Trapp and the administrator for being proactive on a tree removal on the corner of Oak and Fairmount. It was a healthy tree, which you don't like to take down a healthy tree if you can help it, but it created a potential hazard. It was leaning into the road in between some high-tension wires, wrecked the sidewalks and the curb there a little bit also, but the decision was made to remove the tree prior to causing any damage in any upcoming storms or future storms. It's just more work that the Shade Tree Commission is doing to be proactive so we can hopefully eliminate the disaster we had from the storm October ago. So thanks again, and I understand Roberta was there with the chainsaw.
Yes.
And making it happen.
And my
Also,
goggles, and my goggles.
One other ongoing item with regards to the library, I'll ask the Commissioner. We did repair the air conditioner units, and we have a thank you letter. I think we did even more than you had originally anticipated, correct? With the units, there was a discussion on who was paying for what and where it was coming from.
Well,
You do that in your report then? Or
what we did was we paid for what we did was we paid for the initial patching up, but there's a leak that was found that's about $2,100.
$22.75.
Thank you. And what we need to do right now is the library needs to, the trustees need to vote on that so they can get it repaired.
Okay, thank you. The way the letter reads, I would assume we already took care of all that. So
No, that was just...
First stage.
Okay, stage one we're at. Okay, good, thank you. Also, while we're on funding and financing, the CFO's not here this evening to comment on this. I wish he was here, but maybe you can follow up with him. There's an article in the Bergen Record dated 8/13, which was yesterday. The Borough of Pagoda is doing a bond ordinance, and a portion of the bond ordinance is to fund repairs on old fire trucks. And for years, the CFO has always claimed that we can't bond repairs, we can only bond new. So it'd be interesting, unless there's finance laws that change, if we can follow up on this. And maybe the Commissioner can find out with the CFO also, because we have some other trucks that could use some work. And I know that's one of the aims of the Gary Newman, to repair what we have, as opposed to go after new all the time. So if this is something that we can do, like another borough can do, that would be very helpful. So if we can look into that, that would be great. That's all I have right now, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Did you have a chance to talk to Mr. Trapp about the trees?
Actually, it's funny you mention that. I know we talked about moving those trees as opposed to cutting them down.
Can I, excuse me if I may, I've had two landscapers look at it. One of them thinks that, yes, they can be removed, but not now because they would die. But he thinks later in the season that he would be able to remove them. And obviously, if he's going to use them, there would be no cost to us, and we would just buy new plants, trees that are more suitable for that area. So right now, there's nothing to be done because we would kill them if we took them out. And ultimately, if that doesn't work, we're going to kill them anyhow because they have to come out. So
those trees have a fair amount of value. They're Leland cypress, which are very expensive trees to purchase.
That's
That size, they're incredibly expensive. Exactly.
right. If they could be taken out safely, they'll have value, which is why this one particular gentleman would be interested in doing it, but not at this time of the year.
Yeah, definitely. That's a late fall project. Right. Thank you.
Ms. Moran?
This is really one thing I'd like to ask the administrator to reach out to our grant writer and see if we can find a grant to purchase a new handicap accessible bus for the seniors. And now we saw it, Councilman Fleischman was hoping that's not doable, perhaps we may want to discuss the possibility of finding a grant with our CFO. But first, rather look for grants.
It has been discussed already. It's very unlikely that there are grants available for purchase of that type of equipment. But, I guess the bonding might be an issue, or I know that we've taken loans with the Bergen County Improvement Authority in the past for vehicles, and that might be another avenue to go to, but I don't know what's happening with the BCIA at the moment, so I'm not sure that that's viable, but something to look at.
We'll look at it.
Sure.
Help.
Okay.
Just help. Take the direction on that. Thank you. That's it.
Valerie?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple items. First, with regard to the agenda for tonight, there was a memo that was distributed by Lieutenant Hoffman with regard to appointments on special police. I'm not sure why that was not on the agenda, but I asked for consideration to have it added. We have 3 spots that are being informally held for these folks. The classes will start the first week in September, and we do need to confirm the registration here. I have the full memo here for anybody who wants to see with regard to the special police and their activities. The cost here is 0 for the training. There's psychological tests and physical tests for which we were charged about $320 per applicant. But I do need to ask them to get that added to the agenda for tonight. Also, with regard to the police department, give a shout out for congratulations to Police Officer Donatello. He has successfully completed his field training and is now a full member of the SWAT. He is on patrol. He has effectively eliminated 6 overtime shifts in the next 2 weeks by being patrol eligible, so that's good news for us. Thank you also to Officer Masu for his assistance in getting Officer Donatello ready for duty. August 2nd was the National Night Out. Unfortunately, I was away with my family, so I missed the local event, but I understand it went off quite well, so congratulations to the Chief and to Officer Mary Tuchek for leading that effort. Chief also wanted me to advise and counsel that a reverse 911 calling system has been implemented by the police department. This is, if anybody has kids in school, you'll be familiar with this, because this is Mike Jordan's favorite thing to do, is to call the residents of town with information. It's a similar type situation where if we have an issue that the police department needs to communicate out to the residents of town or the Office of Emergency Management, service will be available to them as well. Last, and this is really more of a question, we had talked about the opportunity to consolidate the municipal court. Curious if we had any update from the attorney on where that effort may stand.
We've been in negotiations with a number of towns. Most recently it's been Paramus, and there are nothing's finalized yet. We have something before Judge Doyne to consider. I'm waiting for a letter I was supposed to receive today from the judge. I didn't get it, but I spoke to Paramus' attorney, and we're going to maybe have something for the next meeting where we can discuss some firm figures.
Thank you.
Council President Borough.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Truck 17 is finished and ready to be picked up. Representatives from our fire department will be going up there to inspect it prior to it being released and a check being cut. The county ladder truck that we were borrowing has been returned, and I would like to personally thank, on behalf of the borough, the county for allowing us to borrow that truck. Last week the fire police had a picnic. It was a great picnic. The food was delicious. The mayor attended, the chief, the acting chief, the deputy chief. It was a good time. I would like to congratulate Claire Padovano and her husband for the birth of their masculine child, Garrett Oscar Padovano. I have one item for closed session, and just a thought. We have a meeting scheduled on September 11th. And I was wondering if maybe we would like to postpone that or reschedule it if possible. I know seems like we have enough time to do that if it be the will of the council. I'm fine if we want to be here, but if we don't, maybe that's something we want to think about.
Probably an appropriate thing to do, but in favor of moving it to either the week before or the week after, or probably the week after.
Week after.
Make more sense.
It
The
does
week before is
So it does conflict actually with the 7th of the agreement with,
Correct.
also at 7:30 on September 11th, so.
It would be-
There are some holidays in there. I don't have the calendar in front of me, but I mean, certainly we can. Right.
The 4th is the day after Labor Day.
Yeah, well,
And
that
the
doesn't-
18th would be, and then we would meet on the 25th, so if you wanted to have it the 18th and the 25th.
Unless we combine the sessions.
Into one?
Combine the session, make it one meeting in September and meet,
Maybe
earlier.
that's a better idea.
Well, I think we could probably look at I want to keep you on. I was here anymore. I would prefer to have 2 meetings, I know that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Lastly, just thank Ms. Oriana for taking one for the team by being in the dump tank for the police officers. She took it for all of us, and if they publish it, there's an unbelievable picture of her getting splashed. It's in mid-splash, and you just saw the joy and glee, everybody around soaking her. And she was there the whole time. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Just briefly under my report, the Green Team is moving forward with community garden. It is likely that August 25th will be the date of construction of the garden beds. We did get funding, 100% funding from the Home Depot Foundation. We just have to talk to them about supplies and picking up supplies, and how we're going to get the materials from the Home Depot. Other than that,
Mayor, for point of clarification, there was a resident that came in to talk to us about the community garden and how she could reserve her portion of it. I think it was my understanding that this, in fact, was not going to be done that way. This is going to be a community, quote, garden where everybody...
Some towns, and I think Rutherford is a town that has a pretty decent community garden.
Right.
They actually sell beds for the year. They
Right,
rent
but-
out $50, whatever it is.
There are other-
I think it's the intention of the Green Team to make the beds available to local organizations such as Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, schools, if they want to maintain a bed rather than individuals. That's nothing that's been formalized in
Right,
any
look-
policy from the borough or from...
Well, which is what I explained to this particular resident, but I said it was unlikely that it was going to be that each resident had a spot. I know that also, I've had experience with that. It does not work that well when it's individual residents because it leads to disagreements between them. But in any event, I think at some point we should at least clarify that to the public.
I think obviously we're constructing these at the end of the year.
Right.
We're
It'll be
not-
next year's
not
garden.
fall, But there are some fall plants that can be grown, or vegetables that can be grown in the fall, such as radishes and broccoli, things of that nature. But I'm presuming that come the spring, it'll really be kicked into gear, and perhaps the meeting, the council will figure out the policy that's
Okay.
like at that point. The council president and I met with Rochelle Park recently to talk about expanding some shared services. It was an initial meeting. Actually met the former mayor, some women uses at the meeting. So we're looking to do some more things. Obviously, Rochelle Park is reaching out to us. I think there's a lot of things that we can get done with Rochelle Park. They did talk about the court as well. So we may get a proposal from Rochelle Park for consolidation of courts. Other than that, noted in the paper that to try to start a campaign for promoting local businesses. There's been about 5 to 10 residents who contacted me who want to get involved in that. And the intention of that is going to be to try to get a program together with a catchphrase and logo that we can promote on perhaps the borough website, or work hand in hand with the Chamber of Commerce to get some more promotion for the local businesses. For that, that's all I have right now. Go to the action list at this point. Everybody has an agenda. Last page of the agenda before we get to bills. And I think the first item up is the fee ordinance. Again, this is the...
It's 99.9% ready to go. We've made as many of the last-minute changes that we think are necessary. It should be ready for the 28th. Mayor, on the planning side, if you would just review those changes, those are the only ones that, those of us in-house don't have the ability to check. But just about every other one between the borough clerk and myself, I think we've gotten to almost everything that we could. So,
Anybody has any questions or changes proposed, maybe you should contact the borough attorney next week. Maybe we can...
99.9, you said?
I think it's 99.9 myself.
97, all right.
I must say that we have left the swim pool intact because when we had met very early on this year, the swim pool committee had decided, because of certain things that happened last summer, that they wouldn't make changes, and we've, made some improvements at the pool and the locker rooms, et cetera. But that's the only thing that we wouldn't change now, or would have to be amended if, in fact, they do want to make changes early in the spring next year. So that was the only part that we'd have to redo that I could think of.
Questions, comments, discussion with Gloria Field? Is everybody ready to put that on the agenda? Okay, number 2 is the parking ordinances. As you recall, we pulled that from the last official meeting. There were some significant changes that the police department had recommended than what was drafted. And we're probably supposed to talk to the chief when he gets back to make sure that
I spoke on the chief about it. Yeah, he mentioned that there was even another round of reviews that he wanted to do on that, and that he would get in front of the attorney to discuss that.
Originally, the original list that we gave to the borough attorney originated with the chief, and then Darrell, who's our traffic officer, came up with some changes based on the possibility that New Jersey Transit was going to run a new line. My personal feeling, and the chief's been away, is that we shouldn't base that on what the potential of NJ Transit is going to do next year or 5 years from now. Right now, we should change it based on the chief's original suggestions. If need be, if that line comes in, we could always add what we need to add.
We actually sent a memo out to the folks at NJ Transit to get a better idea of
Okay.
when they may be making those decisions
Okay.
in the process.
Right.
That's why I said we need to wait on that.
Okay. Well, actually, what I'll do is I'll call NJ Transit tomorrow myself and do a follow-up with John Leone and see if he can give me some information so we'd have it for next meeting.
All right, so we'll keep working on that. Any other discussion regarding that? No. Next item is police vehicles. You want to speak to that? Delaney, I know that the police department was originally looking for 2 vehicles, kind of on an annual basis. My understanding is that they were looking to do 1 vehicle this year.
Don't need any what we got. Yeah. There are other things that the chief has asked for that we're going to defer the car help pay for. So that's about where that stands right now.
Any discussion regarding that?
I expect we'll have a written recommendation, proposal,
with numbers and all
put
that.
that together, something that we can review.
Anybody have any wholesale objection to moving forward with that? That issue? Getting the numbers.
Just get the numbers. Do the
I can get
due
them too.
diligence on what has to be done.
Well, not only the numbers, an update of the fleet, what we have, how
Correct.
many,
That's the whole
mileage, the whole,
Correct.
the whole.
I have asked the chief for all of that with regard to, for any, not just the like with regard to maintenance, any overtime that's been incurred because of the lack of, vehicles being available, those kinds of things. We want to make sure that we have all that covered.
All right. Okay, we'll get some more input from the chief.
Yeah, they'll be back next week.
We have a number of contracts that are to be addressed that are coming up.
So I can jump on number 1 there, or 4A, if you'd like. I did speak with the chief regarding the current officer who's assigned to the DEA. It's the chief's strong recommendation that we return that officer to duty there. He's apparently involved in a number of ongoing cases. He has been thoroughly trained in the ins and outs of the DEA, and he is very eager to continue that assignment for 2 more years. He can be brought back at any point, just so the council is aware of that. I have asked for the chief to do a breakdown, as Council Savage had asked for last time, with regard to any additional overtime-related staff shortages on duty. We felt that was going to be a little bit difficult to identify, that to just say that the lack of this one officer was to create a specific overtime situation would be hard to absorb, but we are going to ask for a more formal accounting of the dollars that are in, the dollars that are due, and what we're putting out in terms of.
I think we have to figure out.
And I think the chief, it goes beyond, the original, it goes beyond the dollars and cents and back to the original premise of this, which is from from a career development standpoint, the skills and experience that this officer is gaining in this type of investigation, he feels would be a long-term benefit to the borough. So even if it was, a wash or a near wash on the dollars and cents of it, the chief's recommendation would be to keep him there for that purpose alone.
I fully agree with you, but I'm wondering, wouldn't it even help our police department more if we asked that second policeman? So we have a second guy getting that experience that will benefit our police department?
The answer is yes, but as I said, the chief's concern is with some of the ongoing cases, and that there may be a ramp-up time where our officer would not be involved in some of those cases. So, again, you look at it, we're not sending him there to make the borough money, right? But his involvement in these cases, the way the law is written, entitles us to a portion of any asset that are forfeited. So if we take that officer out of these cases and put a new officer in who may not be a participant in those cases, we do lose out on the opportunity. So again, I don't think it's necessarily for those dollars, but it's one of the chief's points about why we want to maintain some consistency with that. But he does have other folks that are interested in doing that. If the mayor and council decided that's something that we want to do again in 2014, there are other folks that he's already thinking about for that time.
This is the second renewal, then? This would be... This is the first renewal?
It's a 2-year. Yeah, the 2010 review was the initial. Right. So the decision is that as the actions points out, the decision is due back to the DEA by September 30th. So there's no further interest other than the things that we've already talked about from the scoping standpoint. I'll have the chief here for the next meeting to...
And that's what they come from. Prepared with some documentation for that we can review.
Fair request.
Valerie, is there a situation where you could have maybe the current officer in there for 5 months, 6 months, or even just dependency with a couple of cases, and then switch it?
I don't know. That's a good question. I'll find out about it.
The chief will get us some numbers, maybe work with the CFO also to get us some real numbers.
Yeah, and it wasn't really pushback. It was just the chief really had taken Councilman Savage's suggestion to heart and started to look at how we could possibly pull out, some sort of an overtime impact. And it turned out to be, they do a very nice job of maintaining their schedules and why overtime was created and so forth. But it would be almost impossible to correlate that to one less officer being in the ranks.
So we'll put in the chief on next agenda.
More discussion on that issue tonight? The next one is the tempo system for time clock, and the borough administrator could explain to us what.
Well, actually, with that system, what I'm considering doing is removing the time clock from the 3rd floor. It hasn't made a lot of sense for those employees. I would like to continue it for the DPW. It's more necessary there because it's easier to keep track of their time, and it really doesn't serve much of a purpose on the 3rd floor, quite frankly, none that I've seen. So I'm going to suggest that contract be revised to show that it's just the DPW where we keep the clocks for, reporting purposes.
This is an annual contract?
No, I don't think it's annual. I think it was a 2-year contract, Gene?
I believe.
Yeah. The recommendation was from the finance office, frankly, to have it there, and now they've reconsidered, and I agree with the fact that it's not necessary on the 3rd floor. It doesn't add anything one way or the other that I've found.
This is the system where people check in every day, and there's a card system to it, and
It's a fingerprint system.
fingerprint system.
And then it's a report that's generated back with hours. And I just feel that the people who work in 15 Park have specific roles, and if they come in at 8:40 instead of 8:30, it doesn't change much because during the day they're going to make up that time, and it's just another process that, to me, wastes time for people who have to come in.
I'm just thinking back, and when we went through this, I don't know how many years ago, okay, it's got to be 5 or whatever, and we got this because there were control issues relative to 15 Park, okay?
I don't
That's,
think...
all right, fine, and no, and that's fine now. My thing is, well, we're all here, fine, and you're the administrator, and things change, and councils change. The same problem was saying, you know, is always there. When I say a problem, it's a control issue, okay? And I'm just saying, previous councils, okay, worked to address that issue. And I'm just not confident. I mean, at this point, that just be, you know, right now things seem to be going pretty well. That it should be.
Well, I think...
I forget the dollar amount.
I was going to ask, do we know what the dollar amount
I don't,
is?
I haven't really taken a good look at the contract. It's just that the issue seems to be that, to me, if having that little unit on the third floor on 15 Park Avenue gets people to come in at 8:30 so we can start the day at 8:30, it doesn't work. So why bother having that, you know, if people don't know enough to be there at 8:30 instead of 8:35 or 8:40, as the case may be, that machine doesn't control that. There is no control. All it does is account for their time during the day, and to me, for people in the positions on the third floor or second floor that are using that, the town doesn't gain anything one way or the other. The DPW, it makes it much easier for reporting purposes for the payroll because of time in, time out, and, you know, their break time. It makes a lot more sense. I
understand that.
I mean, that's the only, as I said, and it was my understanding, again, I wasn't here, but the history was is that the finance office was suggesting this at the time, and now they've decided and agree with me that it's unnecessary on third floor of 15 Park, and that very possibly, again, looking at the numbers, if we save money, fine.
Again, I'm not committed to it. You know, if there's a reason not to do it,
right.
You know, I'm just saying that, giving you a little background on why it was done.
Right.
And it was considered to be, probably came out of an audit or something relative to control issues.
The only history that I've gotten is what I've heard from the finance office. So
that's.
You remember, Mr. Savage, you remember
when did it go in? No, but there are people in the audience that probably help us on that, and we can ask them later. But we can look into it. I have no.
Yeah, no,
Roberta, are people getting docked based on this, docked pay?
No, because they make up the time someplace else, and
So-
that's
so
my point.
basically
What's the waste of time? They have to walk into that
It's an
office
extra
with their
layer of
thumbprint or
nothing.
their fingerprint.
If it's
To me,
not there,
it's kind of, to me, it's demeaning,
Not
frankly.
thinking that any of the people, because
No, we
we're
weren't.
staff at 15 Park, but if it's not there and somebody shows up at 8:40, they're still going to leave at 4 o'clock or whatever. And,
Well, that, again, it's
you know.
a control issue that, you know, I think is important coming from my office as opposed to a machine.
Right.
But
Okay, I'm
just
not
my
committed to it
recommendation,
one way
you
or
could-
the other. Let me put it that way, but I just think it's something.
But I'll get more information about the
Get some more
dollars.
information, and then I can develop some more information.
Sure.
All I know is a lot of effort went in to put that system in.
And it works.
We finally got it working.
And it does work for
so
certain
the city now will
departments.
say, well, we don't need, you know. we don't
Except when the
need it.
computers go down, or a line goes
It's just
down.
taking me by surprise. Okay, thank you. I have nothing further.
Any other questions regarding that? The next one is the forestry plan contract, which is actually on a resolution tonight on the agenda.
Just as a follow-up, Mr. Mayor, I had spoken to Paul Cowie. He reduced the price slightly from what his new proposal was, and didn't realize that he was waiting for a resolution because I had told him it was okay to, you know, to continue the plan. He's the one who prepared the previous plan, has most of the information, and would require less than anybody else to put it together. And tonight we're confirming it with a resolution.
And is the price that's in the resolution accurate as to what he said?
Yes.
That's a good point. Excellent.
Yeah, they're pretty well known. Yeah. Yeah, the borough's had them for many years.
Yeah.
I've worked with him before,
Sustainability
too.
helps the borough,
Yep.
Tree City issues, so it's good.
And it's required.
Next one is Green Star, which expires on the 31st.
I met with the principal of Green Star, and since Hackensack is doing our recycling. He has, and I spoke to Mr. Costa and Hackensack, we're going to try and make them both work together. They don't, they both don't care if the dates are a little bit off, but it makes sense for us to continue with Green Star on our own because that's where they go to, and it'd be less complicated than...
Well, do we know when their contract expires?
It's about the same time. When I spoke to Art, he said...
I just don't want to run into a situation where we lock in with Green Star and Hackensack...
No. We're going to do it as a unit, and Green Star has no issue with that. He's fine. Mr. Costa has no issue with it. He's fine. So we'll get it to work that all of them are on the same schedule.
Is this something we're going to bid?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think we need to. I don't think we need to bid. Why is that?
Professional service.
It's a special service, and I think we can just deal right over it.
They actually, I'm just thinking of something Art said, Hackensack may want to bid it, in which case we'll go along with them. We haven't confirmed that, just for different reasons, but...
Well, do we even have to contract with them?
We have the contract.
I understand that, but if our contract's expiring, and Hackensack is now picking up our items, we are still getting tonnage, I understand
Right.
that. But do we not allow Hackensack to contract with whomever they want to? I mean, it takes a little control out of our hands, but the reality of it is...
That's what you're saying.
If Hackensack's going to...
Taxpaying, let's let them have all the pieces, but...
We're still
Yeah,
getting
can't-
the tonnage anyway. I mean, whether they go with Green Star or ABC Company or whoever, I mean...
Our agreements with Hackensack.
Our agreements with Hackensack.
Right.
Let's look at the tonnage now, that may be a double-edged sword too, because what if Hackensack goes with a
Well, that's...
subpar, vendor,
I
we're
know.
not getting as much tonnage as we possibly can.
Well, there's a lot of people looking for the business now, and I think that's why Green Star is so amenable to doing anything we want to do, because all of a sudden there are 5 or 6 people looking, even though the market's been uneven. It's been high, it's been low. But I think that I can certainly...
I think we have to talk with Hackensack and maybe the borough attorney.
Yeah.
The attorney needs to talk to the city manager and the city attorney. To make sure that we're all on the same page.
Well, that's what we discussed doing, so
Okay.
I don't think it'll be an issue.
With the recycling, is Hackensack providing the tonnage receipts to DPW, to the recycling coordinator, who's keeping track?
They have, Green Star has our account number. The tickets go in. There were a couple of issues where the Hackensack people inadvertently pulled in, and the guy saw it was Hackensack, but Hackensack knows that, and they've made it good to us. So there's a control on both ends.
So they're forwarding the receipts?
No, it goes automatically to our account, just like it did before from Green Star. There's 2 separate accounts, and our tonnage goes directly to our account.
We get a printout. Right, sometimes we get the printout. Thank you.
Well, we're on Hackensack garbage contract. They've offered us a repeat number.
A repeat number for August 1, 2012 through July 31st, 2013, with an option for 2 other years with a raise at that point of $500 a month.
But that's an option.
In the second, right. It's our option, right.
But as we're renewing the contract for this year, going forward.
Right, and as it happens, because we're kind of in between, they're providing the service as, shared service, gentleman-ladies agreement. They're continuing to pick up. They'll
Going
be
forward for the one calendar year from
2013,
August
14.
1 is still the same number that we paid from 2010 to 11.
11 to 12. 11 to 12.
Right.
There was a big jump. I guess basically the history was we had a contract with Scuffy that was a 5-year contract that should have gone 2014. They went out of business or were bought out. The new vendor chose not to keep us as a client. Excuse me. We were doing it monthly with Ferretti, and then previous council decided to go into the shared service with Hackensack. And for the first year, we were paying only $16,500 a month. And then it jumped to what we're currently paying, which is $18,950, I think.
Is there any talk
I'm sorry?
Has there been any talk with them to enter a 3-year or a multi-year
I had-
contract, which they offered in the first place?
Well, unfortunately, I understand that that did not happen previously. I did ask if they would give us an extended contract, and they were only willing to do the 1 year with the 2-year option.
Okay. Thank you.
So this year, no price increase over last year?
No.
Because last year was a 20% bump.
Right.
So they...
$24.50.
They submitted that to you in writing?
I have the contract.
Okay.
It's just that they made a little typo, so they're redoing it.
And they're prepared to vote on it?
They're meeting on it the 21st, so at our meeting of the 28th, we will have their confirmed resolution.
We'll put the resolution on the 20th. All right. Child Health Conference, I think everybody received a memo from the Board of Health dated June 21, 2012. Similar program, I think, that Borough's had last year,
Yes.
working with River Ridge.
The mid-regional center, and they work with Hackensack Hospital with the HARP.
Pediatric care, where there's no...
Right. Well, it's $40, I mean, it's a fee schedule.
Fees for the municipality?
Gene, you could answer that better than I can, because I don't know what you did with this.
My understanding is, yes, the municipality pays, since we're required to actually have a baby well
Provide.
program available to the borough.
We pay the per
child.
which is, and just, this is only
This is
information.
the one we used to go through, we had it with Lodi for a period of time, and then they stopped doing it. We haven't had anybody, and it's what they call one of the core requirements.
This is an estimated annual cost of,
Well,
Depends on how many babies.
right.
well, yeah.
It depends actually how many utilize. They say, in speaking with Mary Barton, she estimated
10
2 to 3.
10 families.
2 to 3 children. Up to 10.
Well, let me say, I have no problem, I'm just trying to get my...
Yeah, no,
Last year, we expended, during the period July 1 next for this year, $8,000, $4,000. What did we budget for? I don't even know what the budget
To look at the budget line. Yeah.
Well, just my question.
And you're right, that is a good question. However, the Board of Health did,
It's actually, it's right,
agree to it, and they are a judicial board, I guess.
Right.
But they
We're only
do want
confirming.
their signature
No, awesome.
on the contract, so.
It's the borough that pays for it, okay?
Correct.
And they don't have an individual budget, so all I'm asking for is just some figures as a background for us.
Sure, I'll see what I can get from Donna, I guess.
I mean, they don't write their own checks, right? Or what do they?
The last I checked, no.
No, so you write the checks,
Yes.
Well, this is like the,
just a little.
I
It's a good
agree.
program, I support the program.
And the school funds that goes to cover all of Bergen County children, or is this just for Maywood residents?
This is particularly for me with that. Each town is
Each
required
town has to.
Right, but it doesn't go to a major fund, so it's the funds that are used for Maywood County residents.
What the program told me, I mean, it's not a question of, no one, it's just a question of understanding.
sure.
Right, that is, you two get together.
Number 6, senior center.
Mayor, we, in the new fee schedule, we have raised the prices of renting the senior center. We've had a number of issues in the past year with people who've rented it. The borough clerk and myself have talked about the possibility of not renting the senior center, period, to anyone other than our own programs during the day and evening, and no outside parties or anything else. So just something that we'd like you to think about. As I said, right now in the fee ordinance, you will notice that for non-residents, we have raised the double the deck, actually $250 for the application and $500 security deposit. We have had some trouble this year with the air conditioning at the senior center. We've now put lock boxes on both thermostats so people don't fool around with it. And secondly, we're making repairs to the tune of about $1,400 to one of the units, which will be hopefully done by tomorrow, so that at least that issue will be put to bed. But we would like to consider not renting the senior center to anyone other than Maywood programs.
That's another one that I think maybe we should get a little more information on who's renting it.
Who's
How many
renting it?
times are we renting it to non?
I actually have,
Well, your copies you'd like to have?
I'll pass it. I just made it quick because I said I knew the question would come up, or I thought it might.
Just one quick question while you're looking that up. We don't charge Maywood programs fees, right?
No,
Just reservations.
no, just reservations for private parties or,
So we're not-
like, certainly there might be like the Square Dance Group or, who are in fact Maywood residents, but it's an organization, so we charge them. But private, even though they might be, they may in fact be Maywood residents, but it's a private organization. But no,
They want to only be
No.
there one night or something like that.
It's costing us money, and it's, it doesn't make sense,
I think it's just a matter of practicality and, what kind of use the building's getting and that type of thing. For basically, people don't take the same kind of pride in things like they used to.
Getting around to everybody so everybody knows.
Yep.
How many times it's being used, what it's changing, not what it's changing.
One of the other items with the senior center, I hear occasionally that the upkeep inside, cleanliness, a lot of bathrooms, daytime EMTs used to clean that. Is that
They're still doing that.
That's still the norm?
Right, and just so you know, Billy is back from his medical leave, so it's possible that it'll be a little bit cleaner from now on, but I will have a discussion with him about some of the weaknesses. I mean, I've gone there myself to see what people are talking about, but I was half kidding before. I mean, we can't have a bathroom monitor at the senior center, and we don't know who's really abusing the building. So unless we put cameras near the bathroom, certainly not in them, it's just a catch-22. We don't know who's doing.
Who's doing it?
Right. I just think there's some.
Sunday, you come in on Monday,
Right.
correct, but, how are we cleaning it? What's the process?
Well, the cleaning
Can we get it
is
maintained
done by
better?
the EMTs, but I just said, it's so difficult to monitor.
Well, that's the whole purpose of the deposit too, isn't it? I mean, there's a problem.
But then it's hard to say, what exactly were the damages, how dirty did they make it,
Because it's used on Saturday and Sunday. DPW
Right.
they don't check it till Monday, so who's to say we did it that?
Right.
Friday night, Saturday, or Sunday. Then, and they have a checklist that they check, they swept the floor, they did this, that they bring back with their key. We've tried to cover this, but everybody checks they did everything, so.
We entered into this with good intentions.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no
Sure.
question, good intentions to try to do what we could, okay? It's either working or it isn't working.
Right.
We have a program that we can't, administer and manage because of a lot of good reasons not to do it, and it's costing it, we shouldn't do it. I mean, that's my attitude, okay?
Me
And whether
too.
it's right or wrong, I don't know, and that's not just giving my fellow members on the mayor and council. Try to do the best you can. If it doesn't work, it didn't work. Okay? We'll try.
Just don't do it on weekends.
Close enough. I don't know. Okay.
We'll figure something out.
Just another, but we'll get some information.
All right. Any other comments on that issue? Okay. Get some more information on that. Number 7 is the Bergen County ADA Cooperative Curb Rent Construction Rent Programs. That is a program, my understanding is that when the county comes by and does paving, the borough is expected to make improvements,
To the ADA sidewalks and curbing and,
get reimbursement after the fact.
right. And it just, again, I don't quite understand how this happened or why, because it's like we're laying the money out, possibly bonding and everything else at our expense, and then we're reimbursed for engineering cost. or for 90-something% of the engineering cost, and for the actual construction. So the only thing is that I was on the phone with the county today, and Maywood Avenue is not scheduled to be done until 2014, so there's no particular rush to do this resolution. But every town has been asked, any town that has a county road in it has been asked to pass this resolution. In our case, Maywood Avenue is not on the top of their list, and it's scheduled for 2014.
There are no other county roads in town that are on the list at all?
No.
How long in advance do you need to have something like this on the books?
Well, we have to put, I mean, look, you're talking about the entire length of Maywood Avenue and making whatever improvements need to be made. Probably talking about a significant amount of money that we have to bond for.
Right.
And then you're reimbursed.
But we're going to have to do any, my only question, is this a resolution, does a resolution pass now, is it effective in 2014?
Right, well, that's what I'm saying. When I got off the phone with him today, he said, there's no rush. I went, okay, good.
Right? I mean, I'm under the impression.
That's if they stick to their schedule for May.
If the county even does it, but to me, it's kind of half backwards, because if they're doing this, then, they form this cooperative, a grant program so that they'll reimburse us. It just...
It's not going to hurt us by passing. Maybe we have to pass
No,
it again next
but,
year,
right. If you want to...
We gotta do it.
We got to do it, it's not going to...
That's fine.
It's not anything except the time.
But
Anything yet, anyway.
No, exactly.
Do it this year, we have to do it again next year. Maybe if they need it for their package that they're submitting someplace.
No, not, well, who knows? It'll take 3 months to get past the county, and by then it'll be the end of the year, and it won't matter.
It's called...
Mayor, one thing that's not on the action list, and I apologize for not mentioning it to Jean, but if we've had a chance, or you've had a chance to look at the New Jersey drug card, maybe we can take action. I handed this out to everybody at the last meeting. It's at no cost to the borough whatsoever. They produce a card that allows people who have no insurance to get discounts at a variety of drugstores. And if you need another copy for some reason, I'll be happy to get it to you, but maybe by the next meeting we could take action on that.
Anybody need any more information on that? Anything else? Anybody have any other discussion? Anything else on the action list? Just picking up on what Mr. Fleischman said about the Dolphins, actually, we originally were going to have them in tonight for a certificate of recognition, but we're going to have them in at the regular meeting, 166. That's when there's, I don't predict all 166 of them will be there, but they're at it. So certainly be invited. Unfortunately, the 3 coaches are going back to college. They won't be here, but we will recognize their great efforts and undefeated season, second one in a row, 4th championship in a row. That's next.
We had a couple of
This
successful...
room has a capacity. I mean, some number, I'm not sure exactly.
It's posted back there.
It's maybe 2 days. There's also a couple of travel teams, baseball teams that get very nice.
Nice.
I want to get a couple of them in there as well.
We may have to have this meeting down at Borough Park.
Took a friend's story.
Can I just comment on what Council President Ray mentioned? The traveling team, coached by superintendent of schools, they won whatever tournament they won. The last day, what was the name of the Paramus tournament? The Paramus tournament. And it was a terrific achievement that day. I happened to be there because my grandson plays for Paramus. So I'm caught in this situation, and my son, it was the guy who lives in Hawaii, is a good friend of Michael Hewitt. They went to school together. Okay, and this type of stuff. So here I am. Paramus is up 6-1, and the kids from Maywood just hung in, and they win the game, I'm going to say 8-6 or something. It was just a terrific young, activity for the kids, and Maywood was just terrific on a terrific blast out at the plate type of situation. It was terrific.
Along those lines, the borough had some extra tickets. They had a jackals event where they were sending some tickets to jackals, and they had some extra tickets. So he even gave it to that team.
Mr. Paramus?
Oh, no, out.
So that's the grandson, Paramus. I thought they figured.
They announced the Jackals, they announced their team, and they let them run the bases.
The great thing about kids at that age, you know, and it was an 8 and 9, is that the age?
9 UAU.
Yeah, something like that. And Paramus was sad, they lost, but then they walk off the field, it's like, oh, see you next year, guys, you know, and it was just, it was a great experience. I went to a number of those games that weekend. You know, it was the last day of the season. The parents were stacked. It's over. Yeah. It's over. Let me out of here. You know, I mean, they did a great job.
Exactly, it was full travel.
Thank you.
I would just extend a little bit of what Councilman Hubbard said. I was at that game, at the Jack game. It was really lovely. They mentioned the kids from Maywood, my children was there with everybody. I highly recommend it. It's close, about a 5,000 seat stadium. You sit right on the field. They have a youth better team. If you like that, it's a really wonderful event. We should, you know, take advantage of it next year. Let's do it again.
Anything else? Open the meeting to the public. Open to the public. Mr. Richards, come on.
Thanks. Tom Richards, 347 Golf Avenue. I have 2.5 things. 2.5 things. Number one, I would encourage you not to eliminate the tempo system on the 3rd floor. The people on the 3rd floor, even though they come into work, and there are adjustments that you make daily, they also work in the evening. They work overtime in the evening. Okay? Not to say anyone's going to cheat, but you have an accurate record online there now, okay? And you've got finance comes in at night, they work at night. They come in, they do the pool at night. So, and it's an accurate way to control the numbers. That's why it was put there. We lost the battle with the police department. There are controls in there that would eliminate a lot of the problems you have with the police department, but it was never pursued. But I would suggest that you don't take it
Wasn't there a
out.
system down there?
There is it's there. People from the 3rd floor can punch in on the police department. You can punch in at the DPW, okay? But I think it should be kept from a person's standpoint. With respect to the ADA ramps, okay, this is not a new project. I'm sure you remember. Eric, I'm sure Gene remembers, and Jack, that when we did Central Avenue, we had to go through the same procedure there. You had to bond those curb cuts, and then they paid you back, okay? I would encourage you to have the engineer look at Central and Maywood Avenue, because we begged them to fix it then. The water that accumulates on the northeast corner, okay, it's very bad. It's especially dangerous in the wintertime with the kids going to school. So I would suggest that you try and encourage them to do that. And the half the thing is, what's going on with the minutes? There's no minutes online since January. I'd just like you to see if we could get that up and running. I mean, it's so much fun reading the minutes. I would love to do
The
that.
current webmaster, there's been some changes.
I can't get online at all. I can't get into, if you go online right now, and you go into any of the minutes, any time, if you want to go back 5 years, it pops up, there's a message you can't get into the minutes. But if you look at the minutes that are posted, there's only 3 posted minutes for this year. And then the 3 January meetings, there's nothing from February on. And I, for one, would like to read
Sure.
that.
No, we should. We'll talk to her.
So,
We
see you
are in the
later,
process
guys.
of getting a new website, which should be done very shortly. We're getting photos being taken around town. That's the last step in this thing, so hopefully.
And also, I agree with
In the meantime, we'll get
I agree with Mr. Ballerini. You must maintain the police fleet, okay? It has always been...
It's free.
3.5, I'm sorry. That's just a comment. Okay, see you later.
Anybody else in the public? Mr. Rupp.
Good evening, Bill Rupp, 654 Edel Avenue. I'm good, thank you, Ms. Ryan. A couple of items. I see the thing on the DEA, right? I can remember the discussion on this 2 years ago, that we were going to make the money. Do we have a figure as to what we actually received? I don't want to see the pieces of paper about what we can receive, maybe. How about what we actually received?
We have that, I didn't bring it tonight because I didn't think it was going to come up.
$147,000.
Right, exactly.
That's here.
Physically.
What we're going to receive number, I know what you're talking about.
There's at least 2 years of salary for this police officer, which I think exceeds that, right? And we have a wrecked automobile, right? I think that. I don't think this has ever lived up to its expectations, right? I think the chief came, I remember, a year or so ago, and then he was complaining about he needs more staff because, after all, I've got someone on the DEA. Well, you know, there's a solution to that, okay? Right? How many police officers do we have?
21. Depends on when you ask. 21.
That includes our DEA officer, right?
Correct.
Does it include the chief?
It does.
Okay. And do we have anybody on military leave?
No.
Again, the original intent was, one, we wouldn't need any overtime for this. We had enough people. Two, it would pay for itself, right? I just don't think...
I think the chief's point with regard to some of the overtime issues were that there have been 3 retirements since this officer went to the DEA that were not replaced. And that's being rectified now.
Well, in tight times, perhaps we don't need that many police officers, and quite frankly, I don't think we need... I think in tight times, we don't need to lend our police officers to other agencies. I just think that the time for doing that has long since passed, and I think we need to exercise some fiscal responsibility in that. The second issue I want to bring up, and I noticed that you have an ordinance on for introduction relative to the sump pumps and permanent connections. There are a lot of sump pumps in Maywood, a lot more as a result of the storms we had a year or so ago. Most of them are not permanently hooked up, they're just hooked up by garden hoses. I read the ordinance that it would only apply to new sump pumps. And then I could also remember lengthy discussions by the BCUA promising to provide us funds and grants for people to hook up their sump pumps through permanent piping that supposedly was to go to the street drainage system. What's the status with that?
We did sign off with an agreement with the BCUA that's supposed to come in and
Do that.
help with that. That has not happened yet. A couple months ago, we did execute the agreement with them, but nothing has happened from there at this point.
I would love to have a grant to pay for what is essentially a portable sump pump permanently hooked up to some type of street drainage. But again, I don't know how that's going to be done or how it's going to get paid for, because I don't have storm sewers on my street, and one would have to run it a block, right? So I don't know how one would do that. But again, I understand the purpose of this ordinance, but again, I really wanted to know if there was any funding available to do those hookups.
Not yet.
That's what find us.
And I think, I think the hope of the ordinance is really to nip it when you see it type of situation. I know another municipality in Borough County went with this, we're going to come into your house and take a look type of ordinance, which I don't think particularly is constitutional, and that's why we don't have that, quite frankly. But it's a start, I guess, when somebody comes in for a variance, or somebody does a CO, be a little more vigilant about trying to make sure that these things are hooked up the correct way.
Okay, very briefly on the time system, I don't think it's good enough to have someone come in late and then make up the time sometime else. We're supposed to be serving the public. If the public comes in at a certain time, and if an employee is supposed to be on time, they're supposed to be there. And I don't think, the whole discussion about flexible hours, I think could be potentially a nightmare. And the time system is intended to be monitored. That's a management issue. Right? In other words, if people aren't coming in on time, right, that needs to be checked. And having gone through suits relating to the Fair Labor Standards Act and overtime, I can guarantee you that an accurate time recording system is something that will be worth its weight in gold if there's ever an FLSA lawsuit filed, because now you'll have actual records, and I think those time clocks are very important. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Matthew Greco, 107 Stelling. I walked in a little late, so I just wanted to find out about Ordinance 812. That it passed? Okay, and was there a time frame on when that work would be done?
I think the projected time frame that the borough engineer has is for
It's October.
the projected time frame is the tentative award date, actually tonight, it's on the resolution to award the work. If that goes through, that'll start tonight, but the start of the project was tentatively revised to October 8th, which probably will be pushed up a little bit if the resolution to award the project tonight goes through. So you'll be September.
September, October, okay. One other concern was there was an article on, I believe I read it on northjersey.com, regarding the Superfund site and arsenic. And there was some remediation going to be done with some water ponds. I know Westerly Brook runs through that area and then back behind the pool, and was wondering if there was going to be any testing done on the pool grounds or the grounds surrounding the pool for any kind of contamination.
That report that was in the paper was really a 2010 report that was...
Okay.
Just never published until...
Oh, they never published. That's good reporting on that. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, there's nothing. Get something else to add to that. Anybody else? All right. Close the vote. Move on to resignations. There are none. Appointments. For one, Kaylee Pinsky. Swimming pool concession, counter help, salary $7.25 per hour, effective August 14, 2012. And then we have number 2, crossing guards for the 2012-13 year. The Hassan, Eddie Velasquez, Nick Spanos-Totes, close enough, I apologize. Pat Corn, George Rocco, Marie Ross, Dominic Romano, Virginia Dorn, Jim Smith, as substitute crossing guards, William Lieber, Robert McIntyre, Francis Drico, Caesar Subtil, Kathleen Avon, and John Taylor at the salaries listed next to their names. And if we are to add on the special police that Mr. Ballerini added reference this evening, that is identified in the August 9, 2012 report from Lieutenant Hoffman. They're requesting 4 special police officers, Renato Rodriguez, Doyle Gonzalez, Charles Kim, Adam Cordero. They are to attend training class which will commence September 5th, 2012.
Move the appointment.
Second. Roll call.
Savage.
Yes.
Fleischman.
Yes.
Oriana.
Yes.
Fedray.
Yes.
Ballerini.
Yes.
Neglia.
Yes.
On to approval tonight from the Maywood Fire Police permission to hold an on-premise 50/50 raffle and draw raffle on September 22, 2012 at the American Legion, Post 142, 135 East State Street, from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. And from the Rosary Society of Our Lady Queen of Peace Church, permission to hold an on-premises 50/50 raffle at 400 Maywood Avenue on the following dates: September 23, 2012, 2 to 4 p.m., October 28, 2012, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., November 10, 2012, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., November 16th and 17th, 2012 at 8 p.m., December 14th, 2012 at 8 p.m., and from the Lutheran Church of Redeemer requested permission to close 1 block of Taplin Avenue between Maywood Avenue and Oak Avenue on Sunday, September 9, 2012, from 9:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. for a church picnic.
Second.
Roll call.
Savage.
Yes.
Fleischman.
Yes.
Oriana.
Yes.
Fedray.
Yes.
Ballerini.
Yes.
Neglia.
Yes.
Resolution 5.
Resolution 11012, resolution authorizing professional services contract with Paul Cowie and Associates for the preparation of Maywood's 2013 to 2017 forestry management plan. Resolution 11112, resolution awarding contract to HAM Contractors Incorporated for the Spring Valley Road NJDRT Municipal Aid Grant Improvement Project in the Borough of Maywood, Bergen County, New Jersey. Resolution 11212, a resolution authorizing the granting of a street encroachment license for 98 West Pleasant Avenue, Block 82, Lot 6, and the execution of an indemnity and hold harmless agreement therefore.
Move for adoption.
Second.
Savage?
Yes.
Fleischman?
Yes.
Oriana?
Yes.
Fedray?
Yes.
Ballerini?
Yes.
Neglia?
Yes.
Ordinance number 912, an ordinance amending the Borough of Maywood Municipal Code so as to revise Chapter 269 of the Code of the Borough of Maywood governing the Maywood sewer system.
Move for introduction.
Second. Savage?
Yes.
Fleischman?
Yes.
Oriana?
Yes.
Fedray?
Yes.
Ballerini?
Yes.
Neglia?
Yes.
Be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Maywood that ordinance 912 pass on first reading, and that said ordinance will be further considered for final passage at a meeting of the Mayor and Council to be held on September 11th, September 18th, 2012, at 7:30 p.m. at the Borough Hall, 15 Park Avenue, Maywood, New Jersey, at which time and place all persons interested therein will be given an opportunity to be heard concerning the same that the Borough Clerk is hereby authorized and directed to advertise the same according to law.
New business? Old business? Miscellaneous business? All right, we have an item on closed session. Should we go to return? Motion to go into closed session. Roll call.
Savage?
Yes.
Fleischman?
Yes.
Oriana?
Yes.
Fedray?
Yes.
Ballerini?
Yes.
Neglia?
Yes.
All right.
Be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Maywood pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Act, that the Mayor and Council meet in closed session to discuss the following subject matters. Pending litigation, subsection 7. Be further resolved, this presentation is determined at this time for discussion conducted in said closed session to be disclosed to the public upon taking final action thereon, provided this closed session does not violate the attorney-client privilege and constitute any undue invasion of privacy. Be further resolved, the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Maywood do not envision they will return to open session after this meeting with the judge right to do so.
We won't be back.
Johnny, baby.
Now,